Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and encryption keys. There has been a lot of talk over the last few years, especially in privacy circles, around encryption keys and where those encryption or decryption keys are kept or held in digital systems. There was a recent situation that was reported that the FBI in 2025 had contacted Microsoft because they wanted the hard drive encryption keys to three laptops. So typically, and this is for a product that Microsoft uses called BitLocker. So BitLocker is the Windows 11 encryption system that's used on laptops, and typically you would only be able to get to that uh, unlock or decrypt that information with the key to that system, right? So whoever has the login or the key could actually get the information. But this particular situation that happened and was very eye opening because I think Microsoft says they only get about maybe 20 requests a year for BitLocker keys, and they typically can't fulfill the request because they don't have the key because that person stores it locally. But Microsoft has an option where people can store those keys in the cloud. And because they had done these three laptop users had done that, Microsoft was able to turn over the encryption keys to the FBI. So that was very eye opening to people because they didn't even know that that was possible to do. And so, for people who are looking to encrypt their hard drives for Microsoft, they need to know that they need to think about where they store their encryption key. So, if you store it locally, or you have it yourself, you're going to be the person responsible for it, so that if something happens to it, no one else will be able to get into it. Like if you lose your own key, you won't be able to get into it if Microsoft doesn't have it. And that's really the reason why they give people the option to put the key into the cloud. But now people are starting to understand that because when you put your encryption key in the cloud with Microsoft, it becomes a discoverable object that can be handed over to a third party like law enforcement. So another example of this will be Apple. So Apple handles their data a bit differently. So the way that their encryption works, they don't have a key that they can turn over. Basically, the encryption is the way that the system is built, and so the person that has access to it will be the person that has access to the login, the username to, for example, iCloud, and that's how they would get access. Obviously, Apple can get access to it if there was a valid request by law enforcement, but it wouldn't be like the turning over of a key. Another thing that Apple has done, and there was a bit of controversy about this over the last couple months and years, which was them rolling out advanced data protection. So a lot of people wanted to have more protection over their Apple products and the encryption or how it's encrypted. So, advanced data protection, what it does is it has a heightened level of encryption, and also it gives the user the key. So, the user is the person that's responsible for managing their encryption or decryption key. It wouldn't be something that could be turned over to law enforcement because Apple does not keep track of that. But then on the flip side of that, then it makes the user responsible. So let's say the user lost their key and couldn't remember it. Apple could not help them retrieve, that key unless they had some type of, typically Apple or different places may have some type of recovery password or a key thing that you can go through, but that will be very limited in that situation. We had saw that there was pushback, or there was a lot of discussion in the UK about rolling out advanced data protection, where the United Kingdom didn't want that rolled out, and a lot of users really pushed back, as did Apple, because they wanted to give this feature to people who wanted that advanced protection. And so it remains to be seen what will happen in this debate. I think this will be just a long going debate, but I think it makes sense for people, especially as they're thinking about their data assets that are in the cloud, that are in data systems that they don't have physical control to. They really need to ask the question about how their decryption keys are handled, where they're handled, where they reside, who is responsible. Because if you have a key, you're responsible. If the company has a key, they're responsible. And not only that, in this situation, I think a lot of people didn't realize that if people stored their key in the cloud with Microsoft for BitLocker, that it would be a discoverable object that could be turned over to a third party. That's it. Thank you.